All right, today we're going to dive into a really powerful idea that kind of challenges how we all think about success, especially when it comes to gender and equality in the 21st century. Let's get right into it.
So, let's kick things off with a pretty tough question. We talk all the time about equality, rights, and respect for everyone, but when we actually look at the scoreboard of success, why does it so often feel like the game is rigged against women? And that right there is the core of it, isn't it? It's a real paradox. We love the idea of equality, but for so many women, the day-to-day reality just doesn't match up. And it's that gap between what we say and what we do that we're going to explore.
So where does this all start? Well, the idea we're looking at today says it begins way earlier than you might think, almost from the moment we're born. Boys and girls, they might start in the same place, but society pretty quickly shoves them onto two very different paths.
And when you look at it, the difference in that early training is pretty stark. Boys are raised to think about earning a living, to be ambitious, to go out there and, run the race. But for girls, the message is often totally different, that their home isn't permanent, and their real training is for taking care of a different family someday.
So you can imagine how this kind of upbringing really shapes a woman's sense of her own authority. Instead of building it for herself, it's often something that just gets passed along. First, she's under her parents' authority. Then it's transferred to her husband. And eventually, it even shifts to serving the needs of her children. It's like it's never really hers.
Okay, so we've got these two totally different paths. But here's the kicker. When it comes to measuring success, society doesn't use two different rulers. It uses just one, a single, one-size-fits-all definition for everybody.
And that one ruler, that one yardstick, it's almost always about money. Success, as we tend to define it, is all about your ability to earn, to climb the career ladder, and to be a financial provider. Everything else, it kind of gets pushed to the side.
But this is the million-dollar question, right? If earning money is the main way we measure success, does everyone really get the same shot at it? The perspective we're digging into here argues absolutely not.
In this timeline, man, it just lays it all out. For a young guy, his 20s are all about building that career, getting that education, really launching himself. But for so many women, that same exact time of life is when the pressure hits to get married and start a family. That window to run the race often slams shut just as it's opening for the guys.
So what happens next, after that fork in the road? Well, for a lot of women, it means taking on a whole new world of responsibilities. And this is work that is absolutely essential, but it's basically invisible when we're keeping score on success.
This is what people call the unpaid second shift.
And it's not just one thing, right?
It's a whole bunch of jobs rolled into one. You're talking about managing a home, raising kids, being the emotional glue for the family, supporting your husband's career, and on top of all that, a lot of women are working a paying job too. It's a massive, massive contribution.
And this is where it gets really frustrating. A woman can be the absolute rock of her family, a superstar at all of these incredibly demanding roles. But if she doesn't bring home a paycheck, our society's narrow little definition of success often just writes her off. So all of this brings us to a really big, kind of game-changing idea. What if, instead of making everyone run the exact same race, we redefined what it means to win? What if we started valuing the different races people are actually running?
Okay, so here's the core argument. Stick with me here. If society tells men, your primary role is to be the provider, then he's successful if he, provides. So by that same logic, if society assigns a woman the primary role of nurturer, then she should be seen as successful if she excels at that. Success becomes about being great at the job you've been given.
And, this way of thinking isn't just about women. It changes things for men too. It says we shouldn't just reduce a man's worth to his paycheck, treating him like he's nothing more than a walking ATM.
And on the flip side, a woman is so much more than just a household item, somebody who's just there to keep the house running. They are both people, filling incredibly complex and equally important roles.
So the main point here, the big takeaway, isn't about which role is better, it's that they are both absolutely vital. They're both challenging, and they both deserve the same level of respect. Real equality isn't about everyone doing the same thing. It's about giving equal respect for different but equally valuable work.
And that leaves us with one last really big question to chew on. If a man who provides for his family and a woman who nurtures her family are both knocking it out of the park in their roles, why is only one of them given the trophy for being successful? It's something that really makes you question everything we assume about work, about value, and what it really means to win at life.